The News at Noon starts right now.
Well, today the government shut down for the first time in 6 years. ABC's Olivia Rubin is on Capitol Hill with the very latest on what it could mean for you.
Today, Democrats and Republicans arriving on Capitol Hill to a bitter stalemate. Last night, Republicans advancing a bill to temporarily fund the government, but only 2 Democrats joined them, so it failed to pass.
There's still time for Democrats to pass this clean bipartisan bill that's sitting before them, and we encourage our Democrat colleagues to do that.
Democrats' own bill shot down by Republicans, too. They're holding out support until Republicans reverse Medicaid cuts they pushed through in the so-called Big Beautiful Bill and extend Affordable Health Care Act tax credits to stop health care premiums from going up for millions.
Democrats are united in our resolve to make sure that we cancel the cuts. We're in the midst of an incredible crisis, a health care crisis that Republicans have caused.
But there's no sign Republicans will budge either. The question now, how long can this last?
Republicans control the Senate, the House, and the White House. They must have a plan to solve this.
And this morning, the White House putting $18 billion worth of funding for New York City infrastructure on hold.
We can do things during the shutdown that are irreversible, that are bad for them and irreversible by them.
With every passing day, the effects of the shutdown expected to worsen. Hundreds of thousands of employees furloughed. Up to 4 million federal workers could go without pay, including the military. Workers deemed essential, like TSA employees, forced to work without pay.
Child care does not take IOUs. Gasoline does not take IOUs. Your house payments do not take IOUs.
And with lawmakers back on Capitol Hill this morning, there is more finger pointing than there is problem solving. The last shutdown was 7 years ago and lasted 35 days. Olivia Rubin, ABC News, Capitol Hill.
Well, the government has officially gone dark after lawmakers failed to see eye to eye on a funding plan. And that means there's essentially a pause on government funding. But what does that mean for San Antonio specifically? Well, we spoke with San Antonio Mayor Gina Ortiz-Jones and asked what conversations her and the city council had ahead of this potential shutdown. So she told us that for a city with a large military presence, the shutdown would mean military personnel would be going to work and seeing a delay in pay. So here's a bit of that conversation.
The impact at the city level will be, unless it's extended for a long time, I think it'll be somewhat negligible, right? Just based again on the time frame. But I do think about, some of my former colleagues, civil servants. We have tens of thousands of civil servants here in San Antonio, also the military personnel that are here. I think it's just so unfortunate that we are dealing with this uncertainty because let's not forget, it's not just a federal shutdown and then the threat of losing your job potentially, as has been expressed by the federal government. But let's remember there are also folks in our community already that have been cut due to DOGE.
Well, Mayor Jones also told us that the overall city response will depend on how long the shutdown will last. Look out there with a live cam warming up to 88 degrees. I know Shelby and I, we were here in the studio when we were in the 70s this morning.
Yeah, and I mean, inside the studio, Steph, it's a little cooler. So if we need to warm up, we just go straight outside. And the good news is because outside is so warm, we're also seeing those clear skies. They kind of go hand in hand. So right now, although San Antonio is sitting at about 88 degrees, 89 degrees over in New Braunfels, 82 in Boerne, and we're still seeing that decrease in humidity. Most of us are seeing the humidity levels in the 30% range, so we're not seeing that mugginess or even the heat indices associated with temperatures sitting in the 80s, even near 90 degrees. But today, there is some things you need to know. Now, we do have some air quality issues. We do have some moderate for some category, and even as you get closer to Houston, once again, moderate levels, but a little higher. And there's a few things. Yes, there are other issues associated with air quality issues, but today is technically an ozone action day, and we do have air quality alerts issued for portions of Kendall County, Bexar County, not Kerr County, but all the way up the I-35 corridor as you go up towards Austin, and even including areas like Victoria. Now, what this means is we're just seeing that elevated levels of ozone being possible today. It doesn't mean everyone is going to see that, but it does have that issue if you do have some respiratory illness illnesses, you might want to use caution, stay inside if you can. But once again, this is not going to impact everyone, just certain people. But not only is there this today, we are tracking moderate levels for ragweed, and molds are still in the pollen count today. I'll bring that up coming up in just a bit, Steph.
Thank you, Shelby. Well, this week on Connect with the Council, our Ernie Zuniga went to Hemisphere to visit with District 1 Councilwoman Dr. Sue Kaur. Now, she is in her second term and ranks public safety among her top concerns right now. An additional $3 million was added for her street lighting in the 2026 city budget that was approved last month by the City Council. But Dr. Kaur admits that bringing about any change at the city government level can be a challenge.
You've got to have, what, 6 votes? Yeah. To make anything happen. You could have the greatest idea in the world, but if you can't find 5 people to jump on board with you, then what do you have?
Yeah, and on top of that, we are a strong city manager form of government, and so you really have to make sure that there's funding associated, that the city manager and the city manager's team is on board. There's a lot of facets to actually changing things and having an idea that you want to implement.
Well, Dr. Sue Kaur and Ernie also talked about her love of sports. So she is an avid golfer, basketball player, and she's played flag football for 20 years now. And they looked ahead to Project Marvel as well, which could drastically change the look of downtown San Antonio for generations to come. You can watch their full conversation on the KSAT YouTube page or online at ksat.com. Bexar County Sheriff's investigators are hoping someone's cell phone video can help them solve the weekend murder of a 17-year-old girl. Now, deputies say that Aliana Uhueta was shot and killed while leaving a house party off of Lucky Road early Sunday. That party spread across an abandoned home lot, drew dozens of high school students and young adults. And investigators found empty beer bottles and glow sticks scattered throughout that area.
We don't know if she was actually involved in the fight. We do know that she was in the vicinity.
Well, detectives tell our Katrina Weber that they believe the suspect drove off in the dark-colored pickup truck. They say with so many teens at that party, someone likely recorded video, and they are urging anyone who has it to come forward. And we are learning that surveillance video helped investigators track down the suspected Kickapoo Lucky Eagle casino shooter. That is according to a justice of the peace in Maverick County. KSAT also obtained documents that say the suspect is accused of killing 2 people and shooting 5 others on that Saturday night. So the records say the shooting happened near an entrance to that casino.
The first picture that I saw was like he was inside. And then what I heard was that he went out, went to the truck, got out his weapon and started shooting people just at random.
Well, investigators say they still do not have a motive for the shooting because of an error on some of the paperwork. The Justice of the Peace says the suspect, Kyrian Jones, will have to be re-magistrated. Jones is being held at the Maverick County Jail on a $4.5 million bond. Well, TxDOT is pushing drivers to stay aware why October is considered the deadliest month of the year for pedestrians. Well, San Antonio has been facing a shortage of HVAC workers with technicians retiring or training costs being too high. San Antonio Ready to Work program is helping address that problem by funding training for technicians. So coming up at 6 tonight, Sarah Acosta will follow one tech while getting trained and how this helps the community be prepared for next summer. Well, today is Energy Efficiency Day and the perfect time for homeowners to reflect on their energy usage and consider making some small changes to reduce their impact on the environment and while also saving money. So here are some practical steps that you can take right now. Consider installing a heat pump instead of a traditional water heater, as they are 2 to 3 times more energy efficient. Implement smart tech such as a smart thermostat into your home to monitor space heating, one of the leading users of energy in American homes. Ensure your home is appropriately insulated to reduce the amount of hot air that enters the home. Also, clean or replace your air filter. Also, consider booking an appointment to have your home's internal air quality evaluated. Well, the start of October also means it is National Pedestrian Safety Month, and TxDOT has a new campaign to raise awareness for people walking on sidewalks or crosswalks. RJ Marcus tells us about it and why it was launched with the loss of a San Antonio woman in mind.
That's right, guys. Pedestrian safety, that is a big part of the campaign this month by TxDOT as we deal with making sure that a lot of our kids that are making their way to school and a lot of our cyclists make their way through the streets of downtown safely and securely. So October, that is actually also the deadliest month of the year for pedestrians in the state of Texas, and a lot of factors go into that. We have fewer daylight hours. We also have lower visibility in the evening hours as well, which makes it harder for drivers to see pedestrians and keep them safe. Now, last October, 89 pedestrians died and another 143 were seriously injured in Texas traffic crashes. TxDOT now launching this new statewide Be Safe, Drive Smart campaign today to encourage drivers and pedestrians to look out for each other. And at the center of this campaign is U.S. Air Force Major Brenna Cole Pickerel. She was a young lady, 31 years old. She was a security expert at JBSA Lackland who was jogging with her dog Daisy last fall when she was struck by a driver while using a crosswalk. Her dad spoke to TxDOT officials on her behalf.
Brenna's death was not an accident. It is a result of actions that were taken or not taken by another driver. No one wants to live through that. The families, the driver that hit her, no one wants to live through that pain. My wife and I wake up every morning and go to bed every night feeling an extreme sense of loss with the passing of our daughter.
So unfortunately, Brenna died from her injuries a year ago tomorrow, leaving behind her fiance, her parents, her family, and their dog Daisy as well. One more quick stat here. TxDOT also reporting that pedestrian-involved traffic crashes are still on the rise across the state of Texas, up 25% from 2020 through 2024. But again, don't only be safe with people that are walking, making their way through the sidewalks. Kids also headed to and from school, and you don't want to forget about our cyclists as well. Reporting from downtown, RJ Marquez, KSAT 12 News.
All right, RJ, thank you so much. And you can see RJ was out and about. The sun was shining this morning and definitely this afternoon.
Oh, that sun is going to be shining. Now, we do have an ozone action day, basically just meaning there's going to be extra ozone in the atmosphere. But one thing that we also have in the atmosphere and in the air today is ragweed. They are still sitting at moderate levels at 140. I know my car definitely needs to get washed, but we also need the rain, especially because the aquifer is continuing to be down about 1/10 of a foot today, still almost 30 feet below our monthly average. Now, we do have a very small amount of rain in the futurecast, not a lot, but I'll break down what you need to know coming up after the break.
It looks pretty outside in live cam, and actually I love your dress today, and it also matches the sky.
Thank you. My favorite thing about it is it has pockets.
Oh, I didn't even
will
notice
go
that.
up to any, I've gotten a lot of compliments, and the one thing I tell everyone is it has pockets. And it does complement the sky, and I wish I got the Halloween memo because of your earrings.
You have time.
I normally do the fun earrings with you, but it is going to be a beautiful day, so we are going to continue to see the blue skies for most of us, and right now we're continuing to see those blue skies throughout the rest of the afternoon. We are anticipating a little bit of cloud coverage trying to make its way to San Antonio, but otherwise, temperatures just getting to about 94 degrees for most of us, still seeing most of us staying in those 90s throughout the rest of the afternoon. And although it's still going to be dry today, it doesn't mean for everyone is going to be dry for the next week or so. And that's because we're tracking a little bit of moisture returning to south central Texas. Now, specifically, as we get into the weekend, right now we're continuing to see those pleasant dew point temperatures, not really see that much humidity for us in San Antonio. But this weekend, until about next week, we're going to have that chance for it to feel a little muggier, because that's also when we start to see that chance of some rain. Now, as I speak of rain, we started a new month of October today. Now, traditionally, we start off the month waking up in the 60s, our peak temperature in the afternoon getting to about 87 degrees. But by the end of the month, traditionally, we should be waking up in the 50s, having our peak temperature in the mid to upper 70s, and we're nowhere near that. We're also nowhere near the rain amount we normally get in the month. Now, September and October are some of the rainiest months of our entire season, and even then of our entire year in San Antonio. And normally we get about 4 inches of rain, but here's the thing. To start off the month of October, we're sitting really dry, especially when you take into account how much rain we actually saw since September 1st. Some folks, as you got to the hill country or near Pleasanton, or even near the coastal plains in Laredo, did see some substantial rain totals amount for some 7.5 inches in Laredo, just over 3.5 in Rock Springs. But where we circled that red circle, that's where we need more rain. We're talking just over 1/4 inch of rain in Austin, not even 1/2 inch in areas of Gonzales, but that's where we are continuing to lack the rainfall totals. Now, with that said, everyone needs more rain. We're still seeing that exceptional drought in portions of Medina County, and this is a look at the rainfall totals expected over the next 7 days. Pretty much nothing for San Antonio. Most of the rain will continue to be near the coastal plains, and a few of those showers can make their way up to San Antonio over the next week. We're talking Monday, Tuesday, maybe a little bit on Saturday and Sunday, but once again, it depends on how much instability, how much these showers can really make its way. Heavier rain as you go to the east. We're talking New Orleans and even on the eastern side of the Florida Panhandle, and even then on the other side of Florida, because of the hurricanes and the tropical systems still out there. They're getting all that tropical moisture just moving into the United States. Now we have the remnants of Humberto just moving to the northeast, just to the north of Bermuda, but we still have Hurricane Imelda. That is now a Category 2 hurricane. Earlier today, it was just a Category 1. You can see that well-formed eye just moving closer and closer to Bermuda, and all of that moisture associated with it is having an impact for the United States. Sadly, none of that rain is making its way towards San Antonio, just a light chance, a 10% chance of rain on Monday and Tuesday next week. But really, we're enjoying the temperatures as now in the 60s, waking up with that low humidity stuff.
Thank you, Shelby. I'll take that low humidity any day. Well, looking ahead, we here at KSAT are hoping you join us on Saturday, very soon here, October 11th, at the Rock at La Cantera for Light the Night. So hundreds of lanterns will illuminate the sky to celebrate, honor, and remember people impacted by blood cancer. Our Daniela Ibarra is emceeing the event, and of course, we have more information on this event at ksatcommunity.com. A homeowner not only dealing with flood damage, now they're out a contractor as well. This noon, KSAT Investigates looks into what happened. Well, if you remember, weeks before the Hill Country flooding, there was another flood, and that one damaged a Live Oak homeowner's property and wrecked their plans for retirement.
We thought we were safe, we thought we were in good hands, and we were taken advantage of.
Well, they filed a lawsuit against a contractor who they say failed to finish the job. So KSAT Investigates' Daniela Ibarra looked at the work that was done and dug into the contractor's history.
The sloshing is a sound Karen Holmes can't get out of her head.
I still have panic attacks every time I think about it or every time it rains.
We first met Karen after the June 12th floods.
If you look right down here, you could still see it was all the way up to here.
The water destroyed family mementos, medical equipment, and the fence.
I don't know how we're going to fix all. I don't know how we're going to rebuild. I don't know what we're going to do.
We checked back in with Karen weeks later.
Has insurance been able to help at all?
No, not at all. My mother contacted them and they said, I'm sorry, you're not covered for floods.
But they needed the fence fixed. Karen says her mom hired Curtis Sanders, owner of the Sanders Fence Company, to make the fence repairs. They weren't impressed with his handiwork or his professionalism.
You're saying he didn't finish the work, and the work he did finish
was terrible.
Records show Sanders charged them about $11,000 for the work on the fence and other materials.
How much money did your mom have to pull out of her 401k to pay for everything?
All of it. There's no more.
Karen's mom filed a police report and is suing Sanders to get her money back.
That's predatory. How do you sleep at night treating people that way? And if he's doing it to us, who else is he doing that to?
KSAT Investigates found it's happened at least one other time. 4 years ago, a judge ordered Sanders Fence Company to pay $6,500 to another customer who filed a lawsuit. Records show the company failed to complete the job on time, and the work that was done is sloppy. In 2009, Bexar County jail records show police arrested Sanders for theft. Court records show that case got dropped the next year after he took a plea in another case.
We thought we were safe, we thought we were in good hands, and we were taken advantage of.
Karen says she and her mother haven't heard from Sanders about when they'll get a refund. In text shared with KSAT Investigates, Sanders admits the work did not get done as planned. He also offered to give Karen and her mother a partial refund, but Karen says that never happened. After Sanders stopped responding to our messages, we tried to get answers.
You said people come here all the time looking for him?
At the first home, the person who answered claimed Sanders didn't live there anymore. We then checked out the Jackson Keller address listed on the company's invoice. There's no building behind that gate. Karen and her mother ended up hiring another contractor to fix what they could.
If these guys hadn't come here, I don't know what we'd do.
They say their savings and emotions are drained.
I hope that my mother can get her money back and that other people aren't taken advantage of like this.
Daniela Ibarra, KSAT Investigates.
Well, the common cold viruses are on the rise as kiddos are back in school and are at the highest level since 2022. That's according to the latest CDC data. So more than 30% of weekly tests are coming back positive for rhinovirus and enterovirus. Rhinovirus is the most frequent cause of the common cold. Enterovirus is another type of respiratory infection. So activity typically peaks in mid to late September, and we might be nearing a peak. Flu activity typically follows, with illnesses beginning to rise at the start of October and peaking between December and February. Current flu activity is low, but is expected to rise in the coming weeks. Well, Walmart is making some changes to its food. The largest retail grocer in the U.S. announced it will get rid of synthetic dyes from its store brand foods. Officials say they also plan to remove 30 other ingredients, including preservatives and certain artificial sweeteners. Some of the products that will be affected are cheese dips, sports drinks, and also cake frostings. Officials say they hope to keep their prices static during this transition. All of the ingredient changes are expected to be complete by January of 2027.
Not the cheese dip.
Right? Or the frosting? Oh my goodness.
You're going to have to find another way to bake some cakes and what to cover, but it is going to be a day you might want to spend inside. Now, whether you spend it baking or just enjoying whatever you do, today is going to be another warm day for us here in South Central Texas, but September was a warm month. Now, we spent most of the month above our average temperature. The warmest we ever got was 100 degrees, and that was towards the early portion of the month, earlier in the month. But our coldest morning was actually 63 degrees. Now, we did get close to breaking records with both of them, but we came nowhere near to breaking records for the rain. Now, yes, some areas did see some much needed rain, but we only saw pretty much over an inch and a quarter for us in San Antonio, and we could still use more. Now today we are going to still be a little quieter. Temperature is getting to about 93 to 94 degrees in San Antonio. A little cooler as you get towards folks near the hill country, as they don't have as much buildings and cement to reflect some of that sunlight and that heat off of. So they are still going to be in those low 90s, even some upper 80s. But when we look at statistics, yes, we're expecting today to be in the 90s. Our last average 90-degree day is actually October 19th, according to the San Antonio airport, at least the records. But here's the thing. Although our last 90-degree day is October 19th, we sadly are expecting more 90-degree temperatures. Some of us might stay in those 80s, but we're expecting the 90s at least throughout the next 7 days. I'll break down what's causing the temperatures to stay in the 90s coming up in just a bit, Steph.
Thank you, Shelby. Well, these men that you see here are the reason why this woman right here does what she does for her Solana Ridge neighborhood, and that is yard work with a purpose. So giving back to those who have given so much for our country by mowing yards seems pretty simple, but let's go ahead and crunch the numbers here. According to Precise Irrigation SA, a basic lawn service can cost $50 to $150. Now that's a price that can add up spending every 2 weeks. So Mrs. Margie Gomez drops that price down to $0 for those in need, especially our vets. And our Japhanie Gray had the chance to help her out one morning.
Cutting my grass, very therapeutic, especially if it's on a cooler day.
Yes.
You cut other people's grass for free anytime they need it, especially for our veterans. So that tells me that this is more than just therapy for you, right?
Yes. It makes me feel good knowing that I'm helping out someone. They could use that money for something else, something they need.
You've also been doing this for several years now, right?
2017. We have a lot of veterans, a lot of people that are in need, and I'll go do that, and I won't charge.
So why don't you just show me around? What do you call it again?
This is a Wuling Marathon.
Okay.
It's, I always say it's like a micro mini van.
Okay. Ms. Margie, on average, how many yards do you cut of veterans per week?
8.
Oh, wow.
8 to 10.
I'm assuming they're not small yards too, huh?
No, I have some that are pretty big.
Oh, Lord.
Like a couple of hours.
Mr. Antonio's yard looks fantastic.
It does.
Thanks to you. What is the message that you want them to take from what you do?
Spread kindness. You never know what somebody's going through. I know some people are going through things, and that's my way of giving back, and I feel happy inside.
Japhanie Gray, KSAT 12 News.
And thank you to Japhanie as well, who was helping out there that afternoon. And Japhanie told us that she wanted to speak with Mr. Antonio, but he's currently battling cancer, and he had just had surgery. However, we know he is very thankful for Margie, who also does free services for people with medical and financial issues. She says if you live in the Solana Ridge area on the southwest side and you see her little mystery Scooby Mobile like you see behind me, feel free to ask for help. Well, from ER visits to extra medication, caring for kids with asthma can get easily expensive if it's not under control. How Local Effort is helping families learn how to manage their children's asthma in order to keep them healthy and keep that cost down. With the Federal Reserve lowering interest rates and mortgage rates beginning to fall, is now the time to refinance your mortgage. So a look at the pros and the cons of refinancing. Well, private payrolls are plummeting, and 32,000 jobs from private sector businesses were lost in September. That's according to payroll company ADP. Now, it could be a while before investors and policymakers get more employment-based information. Due to the government shutdown, the latest monthly jobs report is not expected from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Now, the most recent BLS outlook showed the U.S. hiring rate fell to 3.2% in August. Other than the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, that is the lowest the rate has been since 2013. Well, reduced interest rates might have some people eyeing their mortgage, and if you did buy a home when rates were much higher, now is probably a good time to refinance your mortgage and get a lower rate. So the short answer is probably not, but it depends on your finances. So Stephen Cates with Bankrate says refinancing your mortgage can be expensive. It typically costs between 2 and 6% of the new loan amount. Then there's closing fees. Bankrate came up with this list breaking down just how much you can expect in other costs. So Cates says you have to really crunch the numbers, and it may be better to wait until rates come down some more.
You may be slightly worse off financially in terms of, the net benefit to you over the next few months or even few years.
Well, if you do want to refinance, Cates recommends shopping around for the best rate. You don't have to stay with your current lender, and also make sure your credit score is good. The higher your score, the better rate that you'll likely get. And a free program is helping kiddos in the community who have asthma. The goal is to keep them out of hospital rooms so they can stay healthy and stay in class. Our Patty Santos shows us a program that is helping one family breathe easier.
There is nothing like seeing your 3-year-old child not being able to run around with other children because they get out of breath so easily.
On This Morning, Keisha Johnson is getting a follow-up visit from an asthma specialist with San Antonio's Metro Health.
How many days of school has she missed over the last year, 2 years ago?
2 years ago, we were at a scary point. She was missing days repeatedly.
For the last 2 years, Paul Kloppy has been visiting Johnson's home to help keep her 8-year-old daughter's asthma under control.
Previously, we had gotten as high as 22, 26. We had 34 days missed in one school year, and it was all due to health-related reasons, her asthma flaring up to points we couldn't control it.
And what is it now?
Now, last school year, we missed 8 days. And of those 8 days, I'd say only 3 of those were asthma related.
She credits the free SA Kids Breathe Children's Asthma Program for the improved lifestyle.
To make sure that my home wasn't triggering my child, simple things like changing your laundry, using more all-natural products to ensure that those excess chemicals aren't triggering your child's asthma.
Also important, teaching her how to properly use the medication.
Medicines and how they're used can be a lot of troublesome because nobody teaches how to use an inhaler. Simple device, we think we know how to use it, but just a few techniques using things like spacers can make a big difference in how much the medicines get into the lungs.
Kloppy is one of 5 community health workers who make home visits. About 150 kids are enrolled in the program that started in 2019. Kloppy and the staff work with medical providers, apartment managers, and school nurses to help the child.
We want that healthy child running, playing, keep them in school, keep them out of the emergency room, using their medicines correctly, and just enjoying life.
Patty Santos, KSAT 12 News.
Well, Keisha tells KSAT 12 that the cost of not having a child's asthma under control is in the thousands, and that includes ER visits and extra medication. And for anyone who wants to enroll, so Metro Health says children diagnosed with asthma must meet the following criteria to participate. So at the start of the program, kids need to be ages 3 to 17 years old, and they have to live within Bexar County. And then your child also needs to meet Metro Health's asthma criteria. So if you're interested, you can contact Metro Health for more details about eligibility and enrollment. We have a link for all that information on our website, ksat.com.
Taking a look outside with live cam, we're already warming up to 88 degrees in San Antonio with those beautiful blue clear skies. But this morning was another story. For some folks, they were waking up in the 60s, even 55 and 56 degrees as you went to the hill country, 54 degrees in Kerrville earlier today. San Antonio got to about 65, but we're going to continue to see the cooler temperatures for the next 7 to 10 days. We're talking waking up in the 60s, peak temperature in the 90s, still along our seasonable temperatures for some. I'll break down what you can expect and what's causing it coming up after the break.
Well, guess what? Charlie Brown, Snoopy, and the whole gang, they are turning 75 years old. So Charles M. Schulz's Peanuts comic strip began October 2nd, 1950, in just 7 newspapers. And for the next 5 decades, Schulz wrote and drew every Peanuts strip. So today, the beloved comic strip is still featured in thousands of newspapers around the world, and the Peanuts gang still featured in online syndication, a new streaming series on Apple TV, books, and much more. Several museums around the country will have exhibits and events this year for the Peanuts 75th anniversary. Oh, way to go, Snoopy. You look good for your age.
Oh, definitely. And I am going to show, I know Adam Caskey will know exactly what I'm talking about, but in the Mall of America in Minneapolis, Minnesota, there is this giant amusement park in the middle of this mall. It's MOA if you are from the area. And back in the day when it first formed, it was Camp Snoopy. Now it's Nickelodeon Universe, but I grew up when I was in Minnesota, it was Camp Snoopy. So I remember all the Snoopy rides, and so I grew up kind of attached to those characters.
Yeah, that's cute. I mean, a lot of us are attached to the characters in one way or the other. That's super cute. I didn't know that was there.
But luckily, it's inside, because in Minnesota, you get a lot of snow, you get blizzards. Here in Texas, you get the heat. So if you are going to SeaWorld or Six Flags or any sort of outdoor activities today, you might want to bring some water. Today, well, even right now, we're sitting at about 88 degrees in San Antonio, and we're continuing to warm up. 91 degrees already in Pleasanton, 91 in New Braunfels and LaGrange, 93 as you get to Gonzales. And we're already seeing some upper 80s and even some low 90s, which is going to continue to allow us to really realize that today's going to be a warm day for most of us. Like I mentioned, we're already sitting in those 80s and we'll quickly warm up here in San Antonio. Within the next hour or two, I'm expecting us to already be in the 90s. Now, we are still going to be in those 80s by the time sun sets. And once that sun starts to set, we start to see the temperature drop because we lose that daytime heating from the sun. So we'll be about 85 degrees at about 10 o'clock or so, and then we'll continue to decrease into the 70s by about midnight and the 60s and 50s once again tomorrow morning, similar to what we saw today. And today, not only San Antonio is expected to get to about 93, 94, portions of the hill country still expected to stay in the low 90s, 95 degrees in Nixon, Seguin, Gonzales, Pleasanton. Most of us are going to be on the warmer side in the 90s, but we are still going to be above average. Like I mentioned earlier, our average temperature in San Antonio this year is about 70 or 87 to even 88 degrees for some folks. And we're going to stay above average, not only in Texas, but along the Gulf Coast, along the Northeast, even near the Great Lakes and even the Plains. The only area that's going to be below average or even not below average, just average, it's going to be a little bit of California, Nevada, going up to the southern end of Montana, Wyoming, but really most of the country is going to be above average, especially that it's fall. We should be seeing some sort of fall weather, flannel weather, but that's really not the case. And here's part of the reason why. At least for San Antonio, we're seeing a little bit of that dry air make its way into South Texas. Now, that's that orange color. This is that water vapor satellite imagery. It's one of my favorite things to show about, especially on quieter days, because it allows us to see some of that dry air just sitting and allowing us to not feel as much humidity compared to areas near the Great Lakes where you see those green colors. That's that saturated, available, moist air in portions of near Chicago, Minneapolis, up near the Great Lakes in areas of Wisconsin. But we have these two high pressure systems. So all that dry air we're seeing in San Antonio is all because we're getting some of that dry air looped around that high pressure system in Mexico. And these two high pressure systems will allow most of the country to see a little bit of some quieter weather for some people, but also the warmer temperatures. Those heat highs will allow us to normally see triple digits in August and July, but for us, just see the 90s as we continue throughout the month of October. And the 90s will continue to start off the first full week in the weekend of October. 94 degrees expected today and tomorrow in San Antonio, 93, 92 as we get towards the weekend. A little bit of some rain chances start to appear as we go into Monday and Tuesday. Most of that is just going to be some quick showers near the coastal plains, like I mentioned earlier. And Steph, that's when we start to see the humidity. So enjoy it this weekend.
I definitely will. Thank you, Shelby. Well, legendary musician back on the road, where Paul McCartney kicked off his big tour.
Paul McCartney kicked off his Got Back tour Monday night in Palm Desert, California. The 83-year-old rock legend took the stage at Acrisure Arena, blending Beatles classics, Wings favorites, and some solo hits. Dolly Parton has canceled another event due to health issues. The country music legend was going to receive the Gene Hirschholt Humanitarian Award at the Governor's Awards in November, but will now reportedly not attend. Earlier this week, Parton postponed 6 concert dates in Las Vegas. Actress Nicole Kidman has filed for divorce from country music singer Keith Urban after 19 years of marriage, according to court records in Tennessee. The couple first met in 2005 at an event in Los Angeles promoting their shared home of Australia. They married the following year and have 2 children together. Hollywood union outrage over an AI actress. SAG-AFTRA says it's opposed to the replacement of human performers by synthetics. It's responding to the so-called AI actress Tilly Norwood. The Dutch creator says Norwood is in talks with talent agencies and adds Norwood is not a replacement for a human being, but a creative work. And you may know her from Mary Poppins or The Sound of Music or even The Princess Diaries. Either way, Julie Andrews is celebrating her 90th birthday today. And that's what's happening in Hollywood. Melissa Adon, ABC News.
Now, I mentioned the rain chances earlier, and I wanted to show you just the week at the rain chances. We're staying dry today through Sunday. Yes, there is still a small chance of a few coastal showers to be possible Saturday and Sunday. But really, as we go throughout Monday and Tuesday, that's when we have that chance for a few of those coastal showers to make it to San Antonio. But it is still going to be fairly light. We're not expecting a big washout. Those are just the days of the coastal plains and the sea breeze showers that could make it to San Antonio. Now, we are still going to continue to see those mostly clear skies today and tomorrow, Steph. Cloud coverage returns as we get closer to the weekend, which I know isn't ideal, but it is going to be good because our temperatures are still going to be warm. So it'll at least provide a little bit of shade. But if you do go out, still wear the sunscreen and drink water.
Absolutely, but we'll take the shade as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you, Shelby. Have a good afternoon.